Welcome, my friends. Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by your own emotions? Anger boiling up over a simple comment, frustration consuming you over something small, or fear clouding every decision you make? What if I told you that the real power in life does not come from reacting, from proving yourself right, or from fighting back, but from learning the art of stillness, the incredible strength of not reacting at all? Imagine being able to face criticism without anger, disappointment without despair, and chaos without losing your peace. Imagine a life where every situation, no matter how challenging, becomes an opportunity for clarity, growth, and freedom. This is not wishful thinking. It is a skill, a mastery of self that anyone can cultivate. In this book, The Power of Not Reacting, you will discover how to pause before the storm, see beyond your emotions, and respond with wisdom rather than impulse. What you are about to learn will not only transform the way you deal with people and problems, but it will also give you the calm, confidence, and control that most people spend a lifetime searching for. Reaction versus response. Life is full of moments that test us every single day. Someone cuts us off in traffic, a colleague makes a rude comment, a family member misunderstands us, or an unexpected problem suddenly appears. In these moments, most people react without thinking, and that reaction is often instant, emotional, and blind. It might be anger, frustration, or even harsh words that later bring regret. This is what we call a reaction. It comes from the heat of the moment, driven by emotions that rise like a storm and cloud our judgment. But there is another way to deal with life's challenges, and that is through response. A response is different from a reaction because it comes after a pause, after a moment of awareness, after giving yourself the space to see things clearly. Responding is thoughtful, calm, and wise. It allows you to choose your words carefully, to act in a way that matches your values instead of your temporary emotions, and to keep your peace intact even when the world around you feels chaotic. Imagine the difference. When someone insults you and you react instantly, you fuel the fire and give away your power. But when you pause, breathe, and respond with calmness, you keep control of the situation, and more importantly, of yourself. This ability to respond instead of react is like a secret superpower. It saves relationships, protects your energy, and brings respect from others. The more you practice it, the more you realize that life does not demand that you fight every battle. It simply invites you to choose wisely how to act. And in that choice lies true strength. Because your peace of mind is always more valuable than proving a point. Emotions are not truth. There are times when emotions feel so powerful that they seem like the ultimate truth. Anger convinces you that someone has wronged you beyond forgiveness. Jealousy whispers that you are not enough, that others are always ahead of you. Fear tells you that failure is waiting for you at every step. In those heated moments, these emotions feel real, permanent, and unshakable. But the truth is, they are not reality. They are like passing clouds drifting across the vast sky of your mind. The sky remains unchanged, wide and limitless, while the clouds come and go, sometimes heavy and dark, sometimes light and harmless. In the same way, emotions rise, stay for a while, and then fade away. The danger lies in mistaking them for absolute truth and reacting based on them. When you identify too deeply with anger, you may say or do something that later fills you with regret. When you take fear as truth, you may stop yourself from opportunities that could have changed your life. But when you remind yourself that emotions are temporary visitors, you gain the power to observe them instead of obeying them. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means recognizing that they don't define who you are, nor do they control your destiny. Just as the sky is never harmed by passing clouds, your true self is never damaged by temporary emotions. The more you practice watching your emotions without blindly believing them, the more freedom you feel inside. You begin to live from a deeper place, where peace and clarity guide your actions instead of momentary storms. And that is where your real power lies. The pause is power. Every day, life throws situations at us that demand a reaction. Someone criticizes us, an unexpected problem shows up, or our patience is tested by small irritations. In these moments, our natural instinct is to respond instantly, driven by whatever emotion rises first. But here lies a hidden secret. Between what happens to us and how we choose to act, there is always a small gap, a tiny pause, and inside that pause lies incredible power. It may last only a few seconds, but in those seconds you have the chance to decide whether to let anger control you or wisdom guide you. Think about it. One quick reaction of anger can break a relationship. One careless response can harm your career, and one impulsive decision can disturb your peace for years. But if you pause, even for a breath, you give yourself the gift of clarity. That pause allows emotions to cool down, thoughts to settle, and wisdom to rise. It is like holding the steering wheel of your life instead of letting emotions drive you into chaos. The pause does not make you weak, it makes you powerful, because it shifts control from impulse to intention. In that brief silence, you decide the kind of person you want to be, the kind of energy you want to send into the world. And when you choose carefully, you protect not only your peace, but also your relationships and your future. The pause is not empty. It is full of strength, full of wisdom, and full of freedom. The more you practice it, the more you realize that this simple act of waiting before reacting can change the entire direction of your life. Ego loves reaction. At the root of most of our quick and heated reactions lies one hidden force, the ego. The ego always wants to be right, to be respected, to be seen as superior, and when it feels threatened, it pushes us to react instantly. Think about the last time someone challenged your opinion or insulted you. Didn't a wave of defensiveness rise within you, almost forcing you to reply, to prove them wrong, to protect your image? That is the ego speaking. The ego thrives on reaction because every reaction strengthens its grip over us. When you shout back at someone, when you argue endlessly, or when you try to win every little fight, the ego feels satisfied, but at the cost of your peace, your energy, and often your relationships. The truth is, not every comment deserves your reply, and not every battle is worth fighting. The more you resist the urge to react, the weaker the ego becomes, and the more freedom you feel. Choosing silence over argument, calmness over anger, and understanding over judgment does not mean you are losing. It means you are winning against your own ego. Real strength is not in proving yourself right at every step, but in knowing when to walk away with dignity. The less power you give to your ego, the more space you create for peace, love, and wisdom to guide your life. And with time, you realize that true respect does not come from loud reactions but from quiet self-control. Silence as strength. Silence is often misunderstood. Many people think staying silent in the face of negativity or provocation is a sign of weakness, that if you don't reply immediately, you are somehow losing. But the truth is the complete opposite. Silence is one of the greatest strengths a human being can develop. When someone insults you, provokes you, or tries to drag you into an argument, reacting instantly only feeds their negativity. Your words become fuel for their fire. But when you choose silence, you take away their power. You show that their words do not control you, that your peace is too valuable to be shaken by their chaos. Silence is not emptiness. It carries weight, presence, and dignity. Think about the times you stayed calm instead of arguing. Didn't your silence speak louder than any words could? Silence is often the loudest answer you can give because it shows maturity, control, and wisdom. It protects you from regret, it saves relationships from unnecessary damage, and it creates space for reflection instead of conflict. Silence is not about running away. It is about standing so firmly in your own peace that no outside storm can disturb you. The more you embrace silence in moments of provocation, the more you realize it is not a weakness at all, but a shield of strength, one that guards your inner calm and earns you deep respect in the eyes of others. Awareness of triggers. Every one of us carries invisible buttons, emotional triggers that, when pressed, make us react instantly without much thought. For some, it might be criticism. For others, it could be disrespect, rejection, or even small annoyances like being ignored. These triggers are often linked to old wounds, past experiences, or insecurities we may not even be fully aware of. The problem is, when we don't recognize these triggers, they control us. Someone says a few careless words and suddenly we are angry, defensive, or hurt, not because of what was said in that moment, but because it touched something deeper inside us. That is why awareness is so important. The more we observe ourselves, the more we begin to notice patterns. What kind of situations make us lose patience? What kind of people irritate us? And what kind of words shake our confidence? Once you become aware of these emotional buttons, you gain the power to pause and not react blindly. Instead of being a puppet pulled by strings of old pain, you become the master of your emotions. Awareness doesn't mean the triggers disappear overnight, but it means they no longer control you in the same way. You can see them for what they are, reminders of your own growth, opportunities to practice calmness, and signals guiding you toward inner healing. When you know your triggers, you stop being predictable, you stop being controlled by others, and you start living with more freedom and balance. The cost of overreaction. In the heat of the moment, reacting may feel satisfying, as if anger or harsh words are giving us power. But the truth is, blind reaction often leaves behind a trail of regret. How many times have we said something in anger that we later wished we could take back? Words spoken in a fit of emotion may last only a few seconds on our tongue, but they can live for years in someone else's heart. A single harsh sentence can wound deeper than we realize. It can break trust, damage relationships, or create distance that is hard to repair. Overreaction also harms us from within. It fills us with guilt, drains our energy, and often makes a small issue grow into something much bigger. What could have been solved with patience and understanding turns into conflict and pain, because we gave our emotions the steering wheel. The cost of overreaction is always higher than we think. Broken peace, broken bonds, and sometimes even broken opportunities. But the good news is we can choose differently. By slowing down, by pausing before speaking, we can protect not only our relationships but also our own inner calm. Every time we resist overreacting, we are saving ourselves from unnecessary pain and saving others from unnecessary hurt. True strength is not in shouting the loudest or reacting the fastest. It is in choosing wisely, so that our words and actions build bridges instead of burning them. Detach to see clearly. When we are too caught up in our emotions, problems feel overwhelming, as if they are bigger than life itself. A small disagreement can feel like the end of a relationship. A minor mistake can look like a huge failure, and one bad day can seem like the collapse of everything. This happens because emotions magnify situations, blurring our vision and clouding our judgment. But the moment we step back, even just a little, everything begins to look different. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you give yourself the space to see clearly. Imagine holding a small stone very close to your eyes. It looks huge, blocking your entire view. But when you move it a little away, you realize how tiny it actually is. Problems work the same way. When you step back emotionally, the situation appears smaller and the solutions appear larger. Detachment allows you to shift from panic to perspective, from helplessness to clarity. It helps you realize that what feels permanent is often temporary, and what feels unsolvable usually has a way forward. By detaching, you regain balance. You stop drowning in the storm and instead see it from the shore where the whole picture is visible. And from that place of calm distance, your mind opens to answers that emotions had hidden from you. Detachment is not escape, it is wisdom. It is the art of seeing things as they are, not as your emotions paint them to be. Freedom from drama. So much of the stress in our lives does not come from real problems, but from unnecessary drama. The endless arguments, the petty conflicts, the gossip, the misunderstandings that could have been avoided. Drama thrives on reaction. It survives because people keep feeding it with words, emotions, and energy. The moment you react to every provocation, every negative comment, every small slight, you add fuel to the fire, and suddenly a tiny spark becomes a burning mess. But when you choose not to react, when you remain calm and centered, the drama loses its power. It has nothing to feed on, and slowly, it dies out. This is true both in personal life and in professional settings. At home, refusing to get dragged into small fights creates peace and harmony. At work, not engaging in office politics or unnecessary arguments protects your reputation and allows you to focus on what really matters. Freedom from drama is not about ignoring people. It is about rising above the noise and refusing to let negativity steal your time, your energy, and your peace. When you stop reacting to every small thing, you create space for clarity, productivity, and genuine connection. Life suddenly feels lighter, calmer, and more meaningful because your energy is no longer wasted on conflicts that never truly mattered. Choosing peace over drama is not weakness, it is wisdom, and it is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Patience builds inner power. Patience is often underestimated in today's fast-paced world, yet it is one of the most powerful tools we can develop. Every time you resist the urge to react to an insult, a provocation, or a sudden frustration, you are actually training yourself. Just as lifting weights strengthens your muscles, practicing patience strengthens your emotional resilience. At first, it feels difficult. The temptation to lash out, to argue, or to defend yourself is strong. But with practice, that pause before reacting becomes longer, calmer, and more intentional. Over time, you start noticing a shift inside. You feel less shaken by criticism, less pulled by anger, and less vulnerable to fear. Patience allows you to act from a place of wisdom rather than impulse. It teaches you that strength is not measured by how quickly you respond or how forcefully you react, but by how composed and deliberate you can remain under pressure. Each moment of restraint is like a small victory, building your inner power in ways that words cannot describe. The more you cultivate patience, the more freedom you gain from unnecessary emotional turmoil. Life begins to feel lighter, your mind clearer, and your relationships stronger, because you no longer allow fleeting emotions to control your actions. Patience is not passive, it is active, deliberate, and deeply empowering. It is the quiet force that shapes your character, guides your decisions, and strengthens your soul. Your peace is priceless. Peace of mind is one of the most valuable possessions you can have, yet so often we give it away for free, through arguments, unnecessary conflicts, or letting other people's words and actions disturb us. Imagine your inner calm as a treasure chest, filled with clarity, happiness, and balance. Every time you allow anger, jealousy, or fear to take over, it is like opening that chest and letting the treasure spill out into the hands of others. No insult, no provocation, and no temporary situation is ever worth losing your peace. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is essential. It is the foundation on which your happiness, productivity, and meaningful relationships are built. When you face criticism or negativity, you have a choice: engage and let it disturb you, or rise above and preserve your inner calm. Choosing the latter is not always easy. It requires awareness, self-control, and sometimes deliberate detachment. But every time you do, you reinforce the value of your own peace and create a boundary that others learn to respect. Over time, this becomes a habit, and life feels less chaotic. You stop being pulled into unnecessary conflicts, you make wiser decisions, and your energy is spent on growth rather than drama. Your peace is truly priceless, and treating it as such transforms the way you experience every moment of life. The mirror effect. Often when someone provokes us, insults us, or tries to push our buttons, it feels personal, as if the world is against us. But the truth is, most of the negativity we encounter is a reflection of the other person's own inner struggles. Their anger, impatience, or criticism usually comes from their fears, insecurities, or frustrations, not from anything inherently wrong with us. In this way, people act like mirrors, showing us what they are dealing with inside. The way we respond to their behavior is a reflection of our own inner state. If we react with anger or defensiveness, the mirror seems to crack, creating conflict and chaos. But if we remain calm, composed, and centered, our calmness becomes a mirror of serenity to them. It does not mean we accept their behavior, but it shows them that their chaos cannot disturb us. Understanding this mirror effect changes the way we see interactions. We no longer take everything personally. We learn to observe others with compassion and respond with clarity, rather than being pulled into their storm. Your calmness in the face of provocation is a powerful force. It reflects maturity, wisdom, and strength. It not only protects your own peace, but also subtly influences the environment around you, showing that stability and serenity are always possible, even when surrounded by chaos. Choosing battles wisely. One of the most important lessons in life is learning that not every situation deserves your energy. We often get caught up in arguments, conflicts, or competitions because our pride, ego, or fear of being wrong pushes us to react. But constantly engaging in every challenge, defending every opinion, or correcting every mistake does not make you strong. It drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and often leaves you exhausted. Choosing battles wisely means understanding which situations truly matter and which are not worth your attention. Sometimes the wisest move is to walk away, to step back, and let things unfold without your interference. Walking away does not mean weakness. It is an act of self-respect, a declaration that your peace, time, and focus are more valuable than proving a point or winning a minor confrontation. When you make this choice, you conserve your energy for what truly matters: your goals, your growth, and your well-being. Life becomes less stressful, decisions become clearer, and relationships remain intact because you no longer engage in unnecessary conflicts. Choosing battles wisely is about prioritizing what deserves your attention and understanding that true strength often lies in restraint. It is a subtle, powerful way to take control of your life without getting lost in the chaos that surrounds you. Slowing down the mind. A restless mind is like a stormy sea, tossing thoughts and emotions in every direction. When your mind is hurried, distracted, or overwhelmed, it reacts impulsively to situations, often causing more harm than good. Anger flares faster, misunderstandings multiply, and decisions are clouded by emotion rather than clarity. But a calm mind works differently. It responds rather than reacts. A calm mind observes, evaluates, and chooses its actions with wisdom. The key to achieving this calmness lies in simple yet powerful practices like meditation, deep breathing, and self-awareness. Meditation allows the mind to settle, creating a space where thoughts are observed but not immediately acted upon. Deep breathing helps anchor you in the present moment, slowing down racing thoughts and calming emotional turbulence. Awareness trains you to notice triggers, emotions, and impulses without being enslaved by them. Together, these practices slow down the inner storm, giving you the power to respond rather than react. When your mind is calm, challenges appear smaller, conflicts are easier to handle, and choices become clearer. Slowing down the mind is not about avoiding life. It is about facing it with clarity, composure, and strength. It is the bridge between chaos and wisdom, the secret to maintaining peace even when the world around you is turbulent. Emotional maturity. True emotional maturity is not about how loudly or effectively you can argue your point, nor is it about winning every debate or proving yourself right. It is measured by how little you get triggered, how calmly you can face criticism, provocation, or conflict, and how gracefully you maintain your composure under pressure. A mature person understands that every reaction carries a cost. Words spoken in anger, rash decisions, or defensive behavior often leave long-lasting consequences. Emotional maturity comes from self-awareness, patience, and the ability to pause before responding. It allows you to see beyond temporary insults or disagreements and focus on what truly matters. When you are emotionally mature, you do not need to react to every situation. Instead, you respond thoughtfully, preserving your peace and dignity. You understand that not every battle is worth fighting, and that staying centered is often more powerful than proving yourself right. This maturity also affects your relationships. People begin to respect your calm, measured approach and feel safer around you. Emotional maturity is a quiet strength, often invisible to the world, but it shapes your life profoundly. It turns chaos into clarity, conflict into understanding, and reactions into wisdom, creating a life of balance, respect, and inner peace. The ripple effect of calmness. Calmness is not just a personal benefit, it has a ripple effect that extends far beyond yourself. When you choose not to react to negativity, criticism, or provocation, you influence the environment around you in subtle but powerful ways. Just as chaos spreads quickly when people react impulsively, calmness spreads too, creating a sense of stability and balance in those who witness it. Imagine a heated argument at work or at home. If everyone reacts with anger, the tension multiplies. But when one person remains calm, takes a deep breath, and responds thoughtfully, it changes the energy of the entire situation. Others begin to mirror that composure. Tempers cool, and conversations become constructive rather than destructive. This ripple effect doesn't require force. It happens naturally, because calmness has a magnetic quality that draws clarity and peace into a space. By mastering your own reactions, you not only protect your peace, but also become a subtle force for harmony in your surroundings. Over time, people notice that your presence brings a sense of calm, and they begin to respond to situations more thoughtfully themselves. Choosing calmness is not passive. It is a conscious act of influence, demonstrating that inner peace can shape the world around you, just as much as chaos can. Reactions feed the fire. When anger meets anger, the result is never resolution. It only intensifies the conflict, making the fire burn hotter and wider. Every harsh word, every defensive gesture, every impulsive reaction acts like fuel, feeding the very chaos we wish to escape. This is why reacting in the heat of the moment rarely solves problems. Instead, it escalates them, creating tension, regret, and sometimes lasting damage in relationships. Calmness, on the other hand, works like water on fire. A composed, thoughtful response cools the situation, diffuses tension, and opens space for understanding. It does not mean ignoring wrongdoing or avoiding accountability. It means responding from a place of strength rather than emotion. By choosing calm over reaction, you take control of the energy in the room. You prevent the conflict from spiraling and create the possibility of a constructive outcome. The more you practice responding calmly, the more you realize that your reactions do not have to mirror the chaos around you. In fact, your calmness becomes a stabilizing force, transforming tense moments into opportunities for growth, connection, and peace. Every time you resist feeding the fire, you strengthen your inner power, protect your relationships, and contribute to a more balanced and harmonious environment. Power in letting go. Holding on to grudges is like carrying a heavy stone in your heart. It weighs you down, drains your energy, and forces you to keep reacting to the past. Every time you remember the wrongs done to you, every time you replay old arguments or injuries, you give life to anger, resentment, and bitterness. This constant mental replay keeps you trapped in a cycle of reaction, preventing you from fully living in the present. Letting go, however, is a profound act of freedom. It does not mean forgetting or excusing what happened. It means choosing not to give your power and peace away to the past. When you let go, you release the weight of resentment and stop feeding the cycle of reaction. You create space for healing, clarity, and calm. Letting go allows you to respond from a place of wisdom rather than being driven by old pain. The moment you embrace this power, you realize that freedom is not about controlling others. It is about reclaiming your own peace. Life becomes lighter, relationships become healthier, and your inner strength grows. Letting go is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of courage and self-mastery, a declaration that your peace, happiness, and growth are far more important than the chains of the past. Creating space for wisdom. When we react impulsively, our mind is consumed by emotion, panic, or urgency, and the wisdom that lies within often goes unheard. Our higher self, the part of us that knows, that sees clearly, that understands what is best, rarely speaks over the noise of reaction. But when we choose non-reaction, when we pause, breathe, and step back, we create space for that inner voice to be heard. In that silence, solutions emerge that the reactive mind would have never noticed. Opportunities for understanding, compromise, or creative problem-solving appear as if the universe itself is guiding us. Non-reaction does not mean ignoring life or running away from challenges. It means giving your higher self room to guide your actions. The calm, observant mind becomes a vessel for wisdom, and decisions made from this place are more effective, more thoughtful, and more aligned with your values. By practicing non-reaction, you cultivate patience, clarity, and insight, allowing solutions to rise naturally rather than forcing them through impulse or emotion. The more you listen to this quiet voice within, the more you realize that true guidance is always available. It simply requires the willingness to stop reacting and start observing. In doing so, life becomes not a series of conflicts and regrets, but a flow of understanding, learning, and intelligent action. Mastery of the self. The greatest victory a person can achieve is not over others, but over themselves. True power is not measured by how many arguments you win, how many challenges you overcome, or how many people you can control. It is measured by how well you master your own mind, your own emotions, and your own reactions. Not reacting in situations that provoke anger, fear, or frustration is the ultimate sign of self-mastery. It demonstrates that you are no longer a slave to impulses, ego, or external circumstances. Instead, you are the calm observer, the wise actor, and the steady force in a world of chaos. Mastery of the self is about reclaiming your energy, protecting your peace, and choosing actions that align with your higher purpose. It requires awareness, patience, and practice, because the reactive mind is strong and old habits are persistent. But every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you respond with calmness rather than impulse, you strengthen the muscles of self-mastery. Over time, life itself seems less turbulent because your inner power stabilizes your world. Not reacting does not mean passivity. It means power, clarity, and freedom. When you achieve this, you realize that the most profound victories are internal, and the peace, wisdom, and freedom that come with self-mastery are priceless rewards that no external success can match. And that is the true power of not reacting, learning to pause, to observe, and to respond with clarity instead of being controlled by your emotions. When you master this skill, you take charge of your life, protect your peace, and create deeper, more meaningful relationships. Remember, every moment you choose calm over chaos, patience over impulsiveness, and wisdom over reaction, you are growing stronger, freer, and more in control of your destiny. If you found these insights helpful, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and comment below your thoughts or experiences with mastering your reactions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Bite-Size Book English, for more audiobook-style summaries and practical life lessons that can transform the way you think, act, and live. Your journey to calmness, clarity, and self-mastery starts here. Stay tuned for more powerful insights. And thank you for listening.